jokingly say that he was what hyperactive kids grew up to be. He was what I would like to grow up to be. But that wasn't possible. For one thing, I don't have his way with people. He made everybody feel so comfortable. Total strangers felt like friends. Friends felt like family. And family? Well, he just made us feel like we were the most important people around. All of us. When people talked about tolerance for others, he bristled. He didn't believe in tolerance. He believed in acceptance. Of course, I knew that everybody who was born died eventually, but I guess I didn't believe he would ever die. He told me he was going to live forever, or die trying. He died trying. He was getting ready to put in a whole new garden. It was going to be more work than many men half his age could handle. He was looking forward to going to the cottage and having us all up to visit. He kept saying he was going to water ski this year. I knew he wasn't. He just said that to get his daughters all worried. 92-year-old men shouldn't be water skiing. A few nights ago, he went to bed and woke up dead. I almost chuckled. He would have liked that, the rhyme of bed and dead. A little limerick in the making. 1 minute he was so full of life, and the next, nothing. Everybody told us it was a wonderful way to go, no suffering. So for him, I was happy. But it just made it harder for the rest of us. We hadn't had time to adjust, to get used to the idea that he was gone. I still half expected him to walk into the room and the door opened and everybody turned as a man in a suit walked in. "Good afternoon," he said as he settled in behind the desk. There was a mumble of responses from across the room. "Thank you for coming," he said. "My name is John Devine, and I've been David's lawyer for 20 years. This is a very sad day, and I must admit that this was a day I didn't expect to be part of. I'm much younger than David, but even so, I expected him to outlive me." That comment generated smiles and nods. He was a man of so much passion. It was a true joy to have known him. That was my grandpa. He was a joy. The terms of the will are both straightforward and, shall we say, most interesting. Mr. Devine paused and smiled, and with a most interesting twist. Interesting was such an interesting word. It could mean almost anything. "Let's begin with the more conventional parts," he said. "All of David's assets, his home, investments, and cottage, are to be divided equally among his daughters." That was fair, and he was always fair. All of these assets, with the exception of the cottage, are to be liquidated and dispersed to the 4 heirs. The cottage's ownership will be transferred to list his daughters as co-owners. It says, and I quote, "This was a place of so many great memories shared with my family that I wish it to be used in perpetuity by my grandchildren, and their children, and their children." He paused. "Is that all clear?" There was a murmuring of agreement and nodding of heads. I was happy. Some of my best memories were from the cottage. Weekends and summers spent with all of my cousins and our parents and Grandpa. "Excellent," Mr. Devine said. "Now I need to set out the next part, the interesting part of the will. A sum of money, a rather substantial sum, has been put aside to fund an undertaking, or I should say 7 undertakings." He paused. "This is without a doubt one of the most unusual clauses that I've ever been asked to put in a will." He looked slowly from person to person, deliberately pausing at each one. Everybody was staring directly at him, leaning forward in their seats. He certainly had everybody's complete, undivided attention, even Steve's. Just read the thing, I thought. "I know you are all anxious to hear about these undertakings. However, I cannot share them with all of you at this moment." There was an eruption of confused protest. "Please, please," he said, cutting the protest short. "You will all be fully informed, but not all of you will be informed at the same time. Some people will have to leave the room prior to the undertakings being read." I knew where this was going. He was going to ask the grandkids to leave. That wasn't fair.